from the bottom end of his body up to the top end of his body, sort of in the where he was running from, and he braced his arm and swung it quite forcibly and smacked him round the mouth. I don't see in that situation that the referees really had much of a choice, because it just I don't know enough about Matty Lees to say whether he's a nasty player or not. I would guess he's probably not. He doesn't. Do you know what I mean? But he cleaned him out, and really in that situation, if you're a supporter of any team, you don't want your players doing that. He didn't need to do that. If he should, if he'd attacked the ball like he kind of did with his other hand, he probably would have got the knock on anyway, and it would have been a much nicer outcome for the game. That he'd done something. He'd done that. I didn't. I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it being a red card on that one, even though I don't feel he was trying deliberately to hit the guy in the head. He certainly wanted to hurt him whilst he was on the floor, and that's one of the aspects of the game that I struggle a little bit with, because it's a different thing when you've got a bloke running into you. And
you see, that's my thinking. Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, I mistimed it or he stepped me or anything else. There's no mitigation.
Exactly, yeah.
Because he could have hit him anywhere he wanted.
Exactly, yeah. So I think we're pretty agreed there then on it was a fair call. It certainly didn't impact the game. Ben Barber was absolutely electric, and then when he went down, it was a worry for everyone. I mean, after the game, when everything suggested that he was pretty much fine, I was just annoyed that he'd wasted 10 minutes of our night when we'd already suffered through enough of what was not an enjoyable game to watch.
I'd let Joshua stay up and watch it, and I sent him to bed halfway through the Ben Barber injury. I said he wasn't going to miss anything much.
Well, no, you could have sent him to bed at half time and he wasn't going to...
I could have done, really, yeah.
Going to miss anything much. But yeah, I think that's enough said on that one, really. Saints were class, and...
Yeah, I think the Barber, it was over... the Saints medical team was sort of overreacting given what had happened with Walmsley the other week.
Oh, that's a good shout, yeah, wanting to be sure, and it does seem like a whiplashy injury. And
yeah, because with Walmsley, he walked off the pitch, didn't he? And then obviously had all the repercussions afterwards. So I wonder whether it was sort of trying to be overly cautious and make sure that if it was anything, then, they were dealing with it.
Yeah, and we joke about, like, the time it took and stuff like that, or I do. But in all seriousness, we do want the right, kind of treatment and that's an attention to these injuries. That's actually something that I've noticed. You know how basically Sky and the referees get slagged off for the length of television games, and obviously half times are a bit longer. I think they're about 16, 17 minutes rather than 10, 12 minutes, and there are video referee decisions that slow down the game. But I think one of the key things that is making games take longer, because it's not just televised games. I mean, the Wigan Widnes game took absolutely ages. The Toronto against Halifax game on Saturday took a ton of time, even though there was no video referee in that one, although it was on telly. And I think injuries are the way we're trying to make sure we manage head injuries in particular, and that sort of stuff means that a lot of time is getting taken out of the game.
The referees are stopping the clock a lot more, aren't they?
Yeah, there is a bit of that too. Yeah, and we have to acknowledge that, some of this time that's being taken is for the player welfare, and maybe acknowledge that a bit more. Anyway, okay. Anything else you wanted to talk about from the Saints' outstanding performance?
No.
Let's do.
There's not really a lot to say. Saints were great. Salford weren't.
So on the stats then, the only key stat win for Salford was penalties. They conceded 6 to Saints' 8. Not that it mattered. Saints made 899 more metres, more than double what Salford managed.
That's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, 12 breaks to force, that's 3 times as many. More offloads, more tackle busts, 11 tries to 2. It was comprehensive.
Yeah.
Individually, from the winning Saints side, Ben Barber, 3 tries, 3 try assists, 199 metres, 2 clean breaks before that injury took him out of the game in the last 5 minutes or so. Morgan, I must mean the centre, what's his name? Ryan Morgan, is it? I can't remember. What's his name? Anyway,
no idea.
Morgan, the centre, had 2 tries, 5 tackles, 139 metres, 2 clean breaks. This is what happens when I don't write everything into the rundown. Mark Percival, 1 try, 1 try assist, 7 tackles, 161 metres, and his winger Regan Grace grabbed 2 tries, which will be really pleasing for him because he's had a bit of a crappy try scoring record so far this year in a high scoring side. 1 try assist, 109 metres and 3 clean breaks, so good work by those guys, and loads more Saints players could have made that list. For the losing Salford side, Craig Kobchak, he was the only guy to go over 100 metres, 103 metres for him. For Logan Tompkins, the hooker, 1 try assist and 46 tackles. He was the only guy to go over 40 successful tackles for Salford, so a couple of people making the rundown. Okay.
It is Ryan Morgan, I've just checked.
Thanks. Okay, I told you I'm not great with names.
Yeah.
Friday night's games now, got 3 to go through, and we're going to start with Warrington 38, Huddersfield 4. It was only 14-4 to the wire at half time. There was 8,792 on. Tom Grant was the referee. Do you want to start us on Wire Joe's fan review?
Yep. So Wire Joe said, weird atmosphere tonight, not helped by the fact we didn't even open the West Stand, but we owed Huddersfield a beating after the hiding they gave us earlier in the season. Wasn't a great game, but can't complain about the win, especially since it's our 7th in a row. We've got a tough May coming up, so we'll be able to reassess where we are in terms of a top 4 push this time next month.
Yeah, at Benny_Simo, who's a new one on me, so thanks for getting in touch, Benny. I'm not sure who he supports because his review was just, ref was 11 out of 10 rubbish. So there you go.
At Mike Dodd 22 said, not the greatest game to watch as a combination of a referee I've never heard of and spoiling tactics from Huddersfield made it a very slow game. Strong performances from youngsters Joe Philbin and Harvey Livett were good to see. Pretty poor spectacle on the whole, but the Wires class showed through towards the end as we pulled away from a lacklustre Giant side to make it 8 on the bounce.
Lee Whitnall we finished with, he said, even when the score was close, and it was never in doubt, I was never in doubt that we would eventually roll over Huddersfield. They looked tired and mentally beaten and seemed happy to get through the match without being humiliated. We did our best to keep the score respectable by missing most of our kicks. Only 66 Huddersfield fans made the trip over. Sadly, the cowbell was with one of them.
Oh dear.
Well, do you know what? We slag the cowbell because it's annoying, but the fact that it's there at every game is a bit of a testament to the fella or the lass who's rattling it along, because at least they are loyal.
The owner of it, yeah.
There you go. Right, so in terms of this game, from what I've read and seen, it seems like Huddersfield were basically doing all they could to just get through the game, kicking for touch a lot, lying down in tackles to the extent that Tom Grant would let them. A referee stepping up who's only had, I think, 2 Super League games before. I think they do sometimes struggle with the pace of the game and allowing it and realising they're supposed to allow it to be a bit quicker than the semi-pro games that they might often referee. So I'm not too surprised about that, and I wouldn't be slaughtering the referee for that. Although I think there was a couple of tries that came from knock-ons apparently that I've not seen on the highlights, because all I could get hold of was Josh Charnley's hat-trick.
Right, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen anything from this game at all.
No, I haven't.
No.
I saw the scores pop up as I was watching the Wakefield Cast game. And yeah, for a while it looked as if it might be a close-ish match, but obviously that didn't sort of happen in the end.
Well, it seems one of the big factors actually that kind of opened the game up was, one, the goal kicking, which we'll touch on in the stats, but also the injuries that Huddersfield got right at the start of the second half basically took both their left edge players out of the game, I think.
Right, yeah.
Jared Simpson and Aaron Murphy both went off injured, and then Josh Charnley scored 2 tries pretty quickly after that, within about 10 minutes of that happening, and that was the game over then at that point. So he scored them down that side, although he's having an absolutely cracking return to rugby league, so well done to Josh there. Okay, stats. Wire made more than twice as many metres than Huddersfield, who went under 750 metres made. They only mustered 1 break to 8 by the Wolves. Huddersfield tackled at 4% worst team tackle success rate and conceded 9 penalties to 6. Without so many missed conversions by the 3 men who had a go at kicking, and all of them missed at least one of their attempts, the scoreline would have better reflected Warrington's dominance that the stats show. It was the equal most missed goals in a game, this one, with 6 missed goals in total. I think 5 from Warrington and 1 from Huddersfield. Individually, Josh Charnley grabbed 3 tries, so back-to-back hat-tricks for him. 5 tackle busts, 129 metres, 4 successful offloads. Joe Philbin with a try and 190 metres, an impressive performance off the bench for the young forward. Tom Lynham with a try, 190 metres, 2 clean breaks, and his centre Bryson Goodwin had 2 try assists, 6 tackle busts and 105 metres. 2 notable stat-worthy mentions for Darnell McIntosh with 1 try and 107 metres, and Ryan Hinchcliffe with 52 tackles and 10 marker tackles. I do like McIntosh more when he's on the wing. I know he wants to be a fullback, but I don't see the ball playing in him, and I don't see him cutting out his mistakes when I think he feels under more pressure at fullback. So I like him on the wing more than at fullback for that young lad. Okay, game I was at, Widnes 24, Wigan 32, but it was 18-4 to Widnes at half-time before the second half-side Wigan Warriors jumped into action in front of 5,668 with Ben Thaler on the whistle. Do you want to start the fan reviews off with Dr. Bob?
Yep, Dr. Bob Phillips says, we should make the games 40 minutes long and then see how Wigan like this game.
Well, as long as it's the second 40 and not the first 40, we'll do all right. Paul O'Brien, 1976, said, we didn't expect to win tonight, but it was a bloody close. Great first half from the Vikings, but then a 5-minute period early in the second half where Widnes conceded 3 tries. At 2020, the Widnes fans had hope, and even at 26-24, we had a chance but the game went away from us after a knock-on at the play of the ball and Wigan scored. Positives tonight for Widnes, but we need to stop conceding 3 tries in quick succession.
Yep, Lee at White Pie says, the first half tonight was possibly the worst half of rugby I've seen all year. Penalties galore and neither side could hold the ball. Widnes deserved the 18-4 lead at half-time, but the Golden Edge minus the Pearl got us back in the game, and 3 barnstorming runs from Isa, Sutton and Tautai for tries won the game. The second half was marred by a nasty injury to Budgie, but with Tom Davies we have cover. We truly are a second half team.
Brian Cosgrove said, it was a good game. Widnes played well first half, Wigan second, but Wigan were a little bit smarter than Widnes, and I think that's why they won.
And Widnes Amateur RL says, hate to say it, but the refereeing at times was utter garbage. Widnes are their own worst enemy. Silly mistakes cost us, and I thought we didn't win the wrestling tackles.
Yeah, the wrestling tackles is, the thing that I talked about last week a lot on the show, how Wigan are winning most contacts and forcing people back. And then on the other side of it in this game, there were a few powerful runs from the forwards, particularly Tautai's try that sealed the game in the last minute, where he basically ran through about 4 or 5 blokes to score. It was Wigan started really well in the first 15 minutes, and apart from their attack wasn't quite timing things right, they basically had all the ball, all the territory. Widnes gave away 4 penalties in the first 10 minutes, but somehow didn't get put on a team warning for that. And then then Wigan kind of fell apart themselves in terms of the discipline and did the same thing, gave about 4 penalties away in about 10-12 minutes and weren't put on a team warning. So at least the referee was consistent in that.
Yep,
but I think both sides probably should have had team warnings at some point in that first half, the way things went. It was last tackle plays in defence that Wigan struggled with. Some good plays, a good play from Gilmore, and I want to say it was Chamberlain who took the ball and offloaded it to Olberson, I think, it was Tom Olberson for their first try. Second try was, watch it on the highlights, it was absolutely unfathomable how Wigan allowed it to happen, but basically it was a broken play that young Johnston at hooker decided to just put a toe on the ball, and Morgan Escaray had got himself way too involved in what Johnston was doing as the fullback, and ignored any prospect of a kick on the last, which was ridiculous, and it meant that